welcome to the Jennifer Sheehan Show. I'm Jennifer. I would love to give you our digital magazine. Go to the jennifersheehanshow.com to subscribe. I'd love to introduce you to my friend, Chris Dowling. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Jennifer.
It's good to have you on, my friend.
Thank you.
So, movie director.
Yes.
That's a pretty exciting job.
It can be.
I think it's a very exciting job. So really interesting how we met. So I get a call literally out of the blue from a lady from LinkedIn that says, I'm Jake McIntyre's best friend. We have a movie premiere called Run the Race movie that Tim Tebow produced. And I believe it's a God thing and you're supposed to be here and I'm gonna give up my ticket for you. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. Yeah. And I had just had surgery and I had 16 stitches and I didn't really want to go anywhere, but I felt like God's like, you need to be there. And praise God that I listened to him, because not only did I have Jake McIntyre that helped write the movie and his wife, my very first interview 2 years ago on this TV show was Jake McIntyre.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Full circle. It's a circle of life.
Absolutely. Yeah. 2 years later, now you're back in Dallas.
Yes.
So got to have you on. I'm so grateful that you're here, but wow, like Run the Race movie, to be able to meet Robbie Tebow and all the cast and crew and everyone on there, it was just a really amazing experience. And Run the Race movie, anyone that hasn't seen it, they need to see it. It is, it's just a great movie. How fun was that directing and helping write that movie?
Yeah, I mean, just with, any movie is got a certain special part. So I've done a bunch of them, and it was like Run the Race. We did some really cool things. We were trying to do, just want to be different than a lot of the films that are out there in the kind of the faith genre. Right. And so like one thing, the cinematographer, Chris Kimmel, and I decided is we were going to shoot it all natural. So like when you saw the movie and the cinematic quality of it, we actually didn't even have lights. We didn't have, we just had a little putt-putt generator. We didn't have anything powering it. It was like we were catching daylight or having practicals. So we had to like really set up the entire room so we could make sure the light was like a practical, like a lamp that was here or like an overhead light.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then, anytime you get to work with the Tim Tebow brand,
right?
I mean, that was such a special thing. That's how I got hooked. The producer called me, he's like, hey, you want to get in the Tim Tebow business? And I was like, yes, I do. So it was really cool, man. They had brought me on. There was a lot of cooks in that kitchen. I mean, there's just a lot of different factions involved in that one. So it was an interesting process for sure, but super happy with the way it turned out and the way people have received it and how it's touched people. And we've gotten messages from people all over the world really to talk about how they were going through something hard and this movie really impacted them, or they found a way through it. Or even like one girl, it was like a heartbreaking story. This little girl with cancer. Aww. And I mean, but like she was like it was crazy. And this story taught her how much God loved her instead of thinking that it was her fault. Like it was just, you get these little stories and you're like, okay, cool. That's why you do it.
Right.
So it was great. So Run the Race was great. It's on Amazon Prime if anyone gets a chance.
So my son was, when he was a senior at Wakeland High School in Frisco, his football coach took all the football players to see Run the Race movie. I don't think I mentioned that to you.
I love it. Hopefully that's like $20, 20 tickets right there. We'll take them.
Right, yay. It was such a great movie, so inspirational. And so when I look at faith-based movies, I don't always see, I don't even know the word for it. It just seemed like it was better quality.
I will take that. I'll take that word for it. I mean, look, there's a lot of different filmmakers in the faith space, if you want to call it a genre or space, and I think different people have different lanes, and I mean, I really value the aesthetics of it and the characters, and I feel like our films, the films that I make typically have like authentic, gritty characters in it, and and then the look aesthetically feels a lot of times more like an independent film where there's choices that are made that are different than kind of the other shiny floor looking,
Right. This seemed like a real movie. I felt like when it started, like it all starts with football, and I felt like it was a football movie that I would just normally see, not faith-based. And I love the fact that it wasn't just, I like stories, that's why this show is all Christian testimonials, but real stories, and they took a bunch of stories and put them together with this particular movie, right? And from Jake McIntyre's point of view, and it was very interesting that the story to me was such a powerful story.
Yeah, I mean, and with any film, what you have to do is just, you got to find each character and give them their own voice, but then they all have to go on some kind of journey or some kind of arc. And I think a lot of times in some of the faith-based films, it's like a pretty flat arc, and sometimes it's just like, it's the one main character, and like at the beginning of the movie, the first act, he loses his faith. the second act he hears a sermon, and the third act he's better. He's back and better than ever. And all the other characters just kind of facilitate things at times. They're not really fleshed out, or they don't have their own journeys to go on. And one thing we did Run the Race was make sure each character like really had their lane to kind of operate in, and that you would see their own journeys, and you would find little pieces of yourself in each character to go on the journey with them.
Right. I cried.
Hopefully you laughed too.
I did laugh too.
Okay, so
I laughed too, but I cried, and I love a movie that can make me cry, that can touch me like that. And another thing that I really loved is that I love it when you tell a story, but it's not just pushing Jesus on you, but actually telling the story of what happened to you and how Jesus saved you. And that's probably my favorite thing. And when my son saw all the pictures of all of us at the premiere, and then saw the movie, he's like, what? My mom got to meet all the actors. And
that's fun.
So he thought I was cool for about 5 minutes.
Oh, hang on to it as long as you can, yeah. We'll have to get you to the next one, and then you can keep that cool going. It'll be a perpetual thing.
Absolutely. So you were raised in Richardson, Texas, right up the street,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And then always loved writing and telling stories, and you end up going to California. What made you go to California in the first place?
Yeah, I always thought about it. It was funny. Me and my best friend at the time, he was also a Dallas native, Jensen Ackles, and he was going to go to Hollywood to pursue acting. And we had told these funny stories like, oh, we're going to be, the two Corys, man. Like, I mean, I love it. I'm such an '80s freak. So
I met one of them. Corey Helm in California.
Oh, you met? Hey,
at a party when I was 18 years old in Pasadena, California.
There you go. See, I love that. I wish if I could do anything, if I could have shot anything or been alive at any time to make movies, it would have been the '80s. I mean, all I do is watch '80s movies. Like I'm supposed to be watching all these like, hey, it's Academy Award nominated. There's all these things, and every time I go to Amazon Prime and I go, boop. And there are a lot of bad ones. I watched No Holds Barred again last night and Solar Babies a couple days ago. Like they're really weird, bad, obscure movies. But there's something that brings me great joy in. The '80s movies. But anyways, I moved out there at 19, did some acting. I think it's almost like when in Rome. I mean, you kind of move out there and go, everyone's going to act. And so got an agent, had some success with that. And because Jensen needed a roommate. And then...
So why not you? Go to California.
I agree. Well,
get your agent, get going.
Yeah, growing up in LA, how it was for you, like when you're that age, and it's like, we'd have people come out. Anytime someone comes out, they would come visit and they would go, I want to move here. So I can't tell you how many friends we had cycle through that would come and stay out there, and they would go home eventually, go find something else to do. But like it has that allure, obviously.
Absolutely.
And especially in the late '90s when we were out there, it was just a really cool, fun place to be, especially for some kids that are just getting out of Texas for the first time, and it's that coming of age. So it was cool.
I love it. Hollywood was so cool. Literally being born and raised in Southern California and hanging out in Hollywood and going to the Roxy and Gazzari's and all of that, thinking we're so cool. And then I'm like, I get older and I'm like, this is not my place. I want to be in Texas.
I joined that club as well. Yeah,
you came back. Yeah. When we come back, Chris meets the love of his life. We'll be right back.
The Jennifer Sheehan TV show is real people with real stories of redemption, miracles, and overcoming. This is a TV show that gives God all the glory. The show is a 501c3 nonprofit, giving back 100% of donations towards the Jennifer Sheehan TV show. We also partner with Operation Care International, serving and supporting the homeless. In a world that is spreading fake hope, only Jesus Christ and the Holy Bible have the supernatural power to change people and their circumstances. Production for the Jennifer Sheehan TV show is extensive, and we need partners to keep it on air. If you believe in our cause, please prayerfully consider to be a partner for a $20 donation a month or more. May God bless you.
Welcome back to the Jennifer Sheehan Show. Okay, Chris, so you're in Hollywood, you get an agent. How do you get into the industry?
Yeah, it's funny. So I had a screenplay that I had written, and I had an agent because again, when you go out there, it's like, oh, cool. All my friends were acting. I got in this young Hollywood crowd, and I had some success, which was really cool. But I mean, not giant success. But I was on a soap for just 20 episodes or
What
whatever.
soap?
Days of Our Lives.
Oh, that was one of my favorites when I was young.
I mean, do you remember Chaz, the party guy? Because you're looking at him.
You know what? So for real, like now I got to go back and look. I stopped watching Days of Our Lives like probably 10 years ago.
Okay.
So when were you on?
Oh, this would have been like 06 maybe or something, 05.
I want to go back and look.
Yeah, I actually shot Peter Brady.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I got arrested and all that stuff. So
I love it.
Yeah. So, anyways, but
so the acting part was fun, right? You said you were.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, my always thing was like I like acting, but it's like it's such a and everything. I mean, everything in Hollywood is hard. Yeah. But it was like I watch even my friends now that are very successful as actors, like the hitting all the auditions or the meetings, and it's so taxing. And finally, I was like, man, I really just want to create my own stuff. And so I had shifted kind of in writing stuff. And I always remember I handed my agent the script, or was my manager at the time, and he said, hey, I don't like to read my actors' stuff because I always have to tell them it's not good and da-da-da-da. Okay. And I was like, just read it. And so he read it, and then he called me up. And I don't know if this is good or bad, but he goes, I got to tell you something, Chris. You may be a better writer than you are an actor.
Oh,
and I was like,
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, I was like, oh, thank you. So anyway, but that kind of, and then I was already starting, I did a short film, and then we were starting to move in to try to make other films. But, and it's a process. Like, I mean, that was, again, 18 years ago. And here I am now, finally, where have, in the last few years, enough success to pay for my family's life and and to be able to live as a screenwriter or director. Yeah, it's so hard. And that's why 99.5% of the people that were out there in the early 90s with me doing the same thing, they've gone somewhere else and they're doing something else because it's a hard ride to get through. And I always say God's like the great carrot dangler, because there's so many times where I was like, man, I'll wake up and I'll be like, I should just be selling cars or doing anything else than this. Right. And then all of a sudden God goes, hey, here you go. And it's not like a giant success, but something that goes, hey, dude, you're doing the right thing. You just got it. Here's the carrot. And I go, oh, and I chase it.
Right.
But it gets me through that moment. You know what I mean? And then I hit another down and I'm like, God, what am I doing? I've got a family. I can't. There comes the carrot.
I feel the same way with this show. The same way, like, I can't do this. I don't have a bank account that matches up with the TV show. Yeah. And then he gives me a miracle, and then another, and I just keep putting one foot in front of the other. That's how it works. You just want confirmation. So I feel like it's, and now, like I said, I'm busier than I've ever been in my life. So I'm like, all right, Lord, thank you, because I've asked many times for this door to shut, another one be open if I'm in the wrong spot. Me too. That's my favorite prayer. Shut the door, lock it, don't let me go through it. Oh, you're real severe. I just shut it for just a little bit, maybe I can try to push it open later if it's still not working. I'm like, just shut it, lock it, don't let me go through it, because I don't want to be outside of his will, because this is not possible without God. Sure. It just isn't. So you pray to receive Christ as your Savior. Yeah, it was really cool. It was cool, man. I had a friend of mine. He said, hey, you should, he was like, dude, come to church with me. And I was a time when I was feeling a little low in Hollywood. I mean, because it was tough. Like, people were acting and doing stuff, and it was a hard thing. And so, I just moved out there. And so my buddy invited me, and I said, all right, you know what? And it's a true story. I said, all right, God, I'll give you 4 weekends in a row where I don't go out late Saturday night so I can make church on Sunday. And by this second week, I was in the men's Bible study. And this dude walked in. He's an actor. His name's Reggie. And he was the smartest person I've ever heard talk about Jesus. And I just listened to him talk, and I just said, hey, dude, can I buy you coffee? And I said, I'm just going to ask you a lot of questions, and I won't even talk. I just want to listen. And we went down and we sat at Aroma Cafe right there. I think it's on Cahuenga right out there. And I walked in not believing, and I walked out, and I had tears in my eyes, and I knew something had changed when I walked out. So that was like, I feel like when I got hit with like the Spirit, and then I made a lot of changes in my life immediately. Again, not that they were perfect changes. Obviously, it's always a ride when especially when you're a young Christian, but it's always a ride, right? And so, but I knew I was like, okay, there's things I need to change to make it work. And so I kind of poured myself into it, I love that. And then you end up being a counselor at a church camp. Yeah. And you meet your honey. I do. It's crazy. It sounds like a Hallmark movie. We met on Valentine's Day at church camp. I love it. Yeah, it was funny. We both love basketball, and we both just agreed to randomly, she was the girl counselor doing the basketball, I was the guy counselor. And I remember I had a thing on mine that said number 14, and hers was 13. She goes, hey, 13, I'm 14. I was like, we shook hands, and then that was it. And now how long have you been married? 16 years. I was going to pull my notes out just to remind you. I'm pretty sure it's 16. And you have 2 children. How old are they? I've got a 13-year-old girl and a 10-year-old girl, Evan and Emery. I love that. Yeah, and so it's a big change for us moving to Dallas now, because they've only known California. Back. Thank you. I love that, being back here. Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to talk more in just a minute about more of your movies. When we come back, Chris's new movie that just came out. We'll be right back.
A house is built with walls, but a home is built with memories. Firehouse Movers takes great pride and honor in serving your moving needs. Built over a fireman's code of ethics to be truthful and honest at all times, to display excellence, respect, and loyalty. We are honored for you to entrust us with your valuable memories. And we have been doing so for over 20 years with hundreds of 5-star reviews. We never compromise in quality because we understand that it's easier to explain our prices than to apologize for poor service. Call us today at 972-412-6033 and let us tell you why we're passionate for what we do. Learn more at firehousemovers.com. By His grace, we live. By His will, we bond together to serve you.
A record number of people are embracing a full digital work culture, and so have your clients. Prospecting and sales have also transformed. Social media now is the most effective way to reach new and existing customers, but it's also the most challenging. We know social media, websites, SEO, voice over IP marketing, and many more, and we saw those mediums grow as we grew our company. We understand local markets. Since 1998, we have been creating unique campaigns to suit your needs. Because your business is unique. Visit multimediabusinesssolutions.com/report to download a free report of the top 5 mistakes companies are making in this digital era. At MBS, we equip you with superior marketing tools so you could have the advantage over your competition.
There is no place like home. So we decided to create High Performance Restoration.
We are local and insured. We always provide free inspections, financing, and step-by-step guidance.
Give us a call today and trust that our installers will care for your home
As much as we care for ours.
That first bite was to my face.
Had a pistol behind me.
He set the home on fire and burned my whole world to the ground.
The hammer, I bludgeoned him.
The bullet went through his lung and through his heart.
The assassin, I'm here to kill you.
I felt the bullet hit me, and
he became suicidal.
God will give you the strength to press on if you put your trust in Jesus.
For more inspirational stories, see the Jennifer Sheehan TV show Saturdays at 11:30 a.m. on Channel 33. Welcome back to the Jennifer Sheehan Show. So Chris, you have directed and produced so many movies. Tell me some of your favorite movies you've directed and produced.
Yeah, so it's kind of in this space, and I've written some too. So between there's a faith-based horror film that Sony put out called The Remaining, Where Hope Grows, which is probably my favorite one that I've done, which stars an individual with Down syndrome, which was really something special and near and dear to my heart. I wrote the movie Priceless, which for King and Country, if you're familiar with them.
Yes.
It stars them. It was something they produced and put together. Run the Race, obviously.
My favorite.
Feel like I might be forgetting some.
Rock something.
Rock Slide was the first movie I ever did, a comedy with Patrick Warburton, who is such a gem, and I love that guy. I've done some documentaries. We did Asperger's Are Us, which is about a comedy troupe in Boston where everyone's on the autism spectrum, and then a follow-up called On Tour with Asperger's Are Us, which is on HBO. So it's like a wide variety of stuff, which I like. I don't want to be pigeonholed into anything. I mean, I've done a reality show. I've got a couple more reality shows that are coming out next year. So I'm just trying to, make my world bigger instead of finding that one little, So, but yeah, I mean, I love working in the faith space. I love movies that have something to say and ask questions instead of some movie where you get done seeing the movie and then everyone's like, all right, cool, let's go to Wendy's, and there's no conversation to be had. But I like the idea that when we're leaving, we're thinking about things and we're questioning our own decisions and we're seeing our own life choices and what is our purpose or so there's so many things you can ask, and I think you can do it in a broader movie where there's a Christian worldview inside of it versus having a Christian worldview and then trying to shoehorn a movie inside of it.
I love that.
And so that's kind of where, like I said, where I like to really operate. And it doesn't mean that's the only place I'm gonna make movies, but it is definitely, where my heart is.
I love that.
So yeah.
And we all watch all movies, and I think that God gives us each an assignment, and that's your assignment, is directing and producing and writing movies, which is so amazing, because movies, like, who doesn't watch movies? Very few people don't like movies.
Yeah, and I think it's important too, because then if that is your assignment and it's from God, well then you should do the best you can. I mean, like, you should be reaching for perfection.
Absolutely.
Not that you're gonna hit it, but that should be your goal, is to do it as, and I think a lot of times, you can almost not squander your talents or whatever, but like you can just be like, and kind of just half butt it, where you're like, I'm just kind of like gonna just put it out there, just do it. Like, it's just almost good enough, and we'll just put it out there and see what happens. But like, if it's truly like something you're like, hey, this is my assignment, I think you've got to reach for like making it stellar, because it's going to reflect what God has given you.
Absolutely. Even with this TV show, that is my platform. I didn't think in a million years God was going to give me a TV show. Yeah. And it just gets better and better and better, but it's Him, not me. And He's just giving me that supernatural knowledge, wisdom, understanding, opening up doors of opportunity. Like the stories when me and the guy that films the show, Andy Costa, he's behind the scenes.
He's also a gem.
He is a gem. God blessed me with him. He's doing a dance back there while we're talking. But the stories, he's like, Jennifer, I've never seen anything like this. The stories just get better and better. And when we think they can't get any better, they get better.
I love it.
And it's just him, not me. But it's a huge platform now, going to over, I think we're over 300,000 views across the world.
Yeah,
this
awesome.
is getting crazy,
That's awesome.
But all for His glory. So same thing, being in the movie industry is huge, and faith-based is huge. And I'm really proud of you, and I'm so honored to call you friend. And now you live in right up the street in Texas, so now you're stuck with me for sure.
Say, you can call me neighbor now too.
Yeah.
So.
Like literally the next city over from us. So I think that is so amazing. So tell us about your new movie. It just came out, you said 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, the new movie, I'm super proud of it. It's really crazy because in between these bigger movies that I've done, I teamed up with the Masters University, and one of my best friends who directed it, Matt Green's a professor there. And every year they do these projects where it's a winter term, and they're teaching the students, get to work with industry professionals, and they make a short film. Short films are always super, super, they're high dollar, they look great. But this one year, so last year, they decided we're going to try and make a feature. But the thing is, we only have 8 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so
how is that even possible?
I don't know. I remember
and it still turned out good?
It turned out amazing. It's funny. I remember shooting my first movie. We shot it in 15 days. And when we did we were out doing all the marketing and stuff. We're like, we shot a movie in 15 days. Everyone's like, how'd you do it? It's crazy. Now we've got one in 8 days. Wow. And it's got a whole film noir storyline that's highly stylized in this Prohibition era detective, that's going through. So it's not just some easy, just point the camera and shoot. Right. It was it took planning. And the cool thing was, I got to, when I was writing it, I had to get in there and know, you have to be able to shoot this in 8 days, which to me means you have to have rich dialogue and characters, because you have to rely on that.
Right.
And it's got to be, contained in a way that you can do it, and contained with location. So it was almost like Master Chef, where they're like, here's all the ingredients, now go make it. And I was like, okay, cool, I got to do this, okay, we got to go make this movie, we got to make it really good, right? And so I can't believe it, but these guys, they took it, Matt and his team, and they shot it in 8 days. And it turned out amazing. It's a very important movie because it deals with, I think, an underserved audience in the faith space, which is men.
Right.
And it's very much about men, fathers and sons, and mending and broken relationships while finding purpose. And it's been cool. It's been referred to as more like a prodigal father story, which I thought was really cool, where the father's the one who's gone out and squandered everything and is coming back to find the son that he was the one who kind of walked out on. But it's called The Man from Nowhere, and it stars Nick Searcy, who is a great guy, and I really like Nick, and he did a killer job in it. And so people can find it.
Can't wait to watch it.
I was gonna say, people can find it on Amazon right now, or we have a website, manfromnowheremovie.com.
Okay.
But again, the stories we're already hearing, I've been at screenings where I'm watching grown men cry and sob because it's hitting a spot.
I love that.
That is where there's a father issue or there's a son issue, and people are talking to us about it. And so for me, that's just another, the movies I've done, like Priceless, dealt with sex trafficking. Where Hope Grows dealt with the special needs community, the remaining, and finding things that have purpose. And this one, to have that father-son one, I thought was really cool. Even though I have a very great relationship with my dad, but it was cool to get to write from a perspective, because we all have broken relationships somewhere.
Right.
So it's even more global than just the father-son dynamic. But anyways, it's very very good, and I'm very proud of it.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing. And
thanks for having me.
I think you're going to be on again because I think you're going to do a lot of more movies for God's glory. I can't wait to see how He keeps using you. So thank you so much, neighbor.
Yeah, thank you, neighbor.
When we come back, you can also find your purpose.
There are over 100,000 people in the United States waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. This is where the David Nicholas Organ Donor Awareness Foundation provides help. Please join us and be a hero and help us save a life.
The Jennifer Sheehan Show magazine promotes and connects Christians and Christian-owned businesses worldwide. It's digital, nonprofit, and full of inspirational stories. The magazine is emailed, shared on our social media, and promoted weekly on our TV show, reaching millions of viewers. To subscribe to this free magazine and for advertising opportunities, go to thejennifersheehanshow.com.
I've always believed that trust is one of the greatest compliments someone can receive. When our clients trust our team to handle one of their largest financial decisions they'll ever make, we take that very seriously. Having been in the business for over 36 years, I know that trust does not come easily, it has to be earned. Our team is committed to providing the best real estate service possible with the ultimate goal of having a seamless transaction and as little stress as possible. Let us show you why we are the best in the business.
That first bite was to my face.
Had a pistol behind me.
He set the home on fire and burned my whole world to the ground.
The hammer bludgeoned him.
The bullet went through the lung and through his heart.
The assassin, I'm here to kill you.
I felt the bullet hit me, and
he became suicidal.
God will give you the strength to press on if you put your trust in Jesus.
I'm just here to tell you that your son will not make it.
And God wasn't through with it.
I blamed myself for it.
My father took offense to it, punched me in the face.
You sold drugs and you were a pimp.
Punched me in the face, knocked me on the bed.
When you're sexually abused, when you're physically abused.
This is how big my tumor was.
Wow. Told me that there were no more traces of blood clots.
I figured out a way to solve the problems in our family, and I figured out a way to kill Dad.
Who are you to say that God can't change this?
For more inspirational stories, see the Jennifer Sheehan TV show Saturdays at 11:30 a.m. on Channel 33. Welcome back to the Jennifer Sheehan Show. You can also find your purpose by praying and asking God what that is. If you haven't prayed to receive Jesus as your Lord and Savior, pray with me. Jesus, I know you died on the cross for my sin. You rose again on the third day. Please forgive me for my sin. I receive you as my Lord and Savior. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Tune in next week. We've got another great story for you.